The IndyCar Oval Elite Series reaches its halfway point after the checkered flag falls tonight, round 6 of 12 of the season. We head out just off of I-80 to a place called Newton, Iowa. Nestled in the cornfields is Iowa Speedway, a speedy little short track that has as much going on as any big city traffic. And though Brandon Treno has won over half the races so far this season, he was out early at Milwaukee and is looking for redemption in the Hawkeye State in the Black Magic Studios 150. Hi everybody, Kyle Heyer, joined by Finney and DeCuna tonight for round 6 of 12 of the 2025 IndyCar Indy Oval Elite Series. And boy, we've got a lot going on as we are around the halfway mark at the conclusion of this race. Black Magic Studios is on board with us for this 150-mile event. Finney, and welcome aboard. Just about 20 drivers getting set to go racing tonight.
Yeah, can't wait to see these guys get back out there on the track. We go to pretty much yet another short oval. We go from Milwaukee to Iowa, slightly shorter in length, but a little bit more banking for these drivers to work with. And I think considering how action-packed we saw Milwaukee end up being, let's see Iowa end up being a pretty decent show with some banking for these drivers to work with. And especially with the point standings heating up, these guys are going to have to get out there and perform.
Yeah, point standings you mentioned as we watch the last couple drivers make their qualifying runs here. Jesper Orman currently on top of the standings. Though he hasn't won any races, he's got 5 top 5s, which is more than anybody else, and the consistency has been the key for him. Brandon Treno, by virtue of that early crash at Milwaukee, 3 wins. It's not having leading the standings, but Hamilton Akabueze jumped up a couple spots. David Adams jumped up a couple of spots. So there's been some shifting and shuffling as we approach this halfway point. But the other drivers that have won, Oster and Akabueze, they look to be pretty strong. They just need to find that consistency that Orman has to really be a threat.
Yeah, and actually Treno, as you look at him sitting at top of the on provisional pole, and I think he should be expected to be there as you have only a handful of drivers yet to go. Got actually very lucky with a penalty situation. Initially, he was given enough penalty points that he was supposed to be getting an EOL for this round. But it was reviewed and decided there's some netcode involved, so the penalty was reduced, so no EOL for him, but that could have been major here.
Yeah, it certainly could have been, and will definitely limit the damage that was done after that finish at Iowa. That was out early, and he didn't get a great qualifying run there, which contributed to it, but right on pole right now, and I don't think anybody is going to defeat him unless Altena, Hugo Galaz, Lorenzo Bonder, or Paulo Vinicius can jump up to the top. They're not going to have time to do so. Altena will be the last driver put in a time. It is only 17th quick, so Brandon Treno is going to be on your pole for the 6th race of the season. 3 wins of the 5 events so far. He's obviously the favorite, but can he repeat that magic he found earlier in the season?
We'll find out if it might be the start for other drivers like Orman, like Oster, like Akabueze to finally kind of kickstart their season going. And especially with Orman, maybe a chance for him to get his first win of the season, considering he's got none, despite leading the point standings. Just shows you how much consistency is worth.
I'd say so. Black Magic Studios has come on board to sponsor this event here tonight. Really excited to have them on board and assisting us with coverage of this event. And you'll see them up in the upper right on the rotator here for the duration of this evening's event. Let's talk about some of the challenges that we've been facing, even just in practice and qualifying so far. Let's head down to the racetrack and maybe have a look at, well, the track's cleaned up now, but one of the things you pointed out to me during practice was how many marbles were accumulating on the apron right prior to pit lane. So if we have green flag pit stops, that's a highlight I'm looking to return to.
Yeah, it did clear up quite a bit, but there were a lot of marbles down there. Granted, these guys are going to be exiting on a pit lane right before, sorry, I should say right at the exit of turn 4. And, you know, we talked about it in the past, we've seen it a lot in the past, how difficult this pit road entry is. Add in the effect with the marbles, these guys have to really make sure they slow it down. You can't really come in guns blazing. You got to be careful, otherwise you're going to overshoot pit road, and that's going to cost you a lot of time.
So what are the challenges with Iowa Speedway in an IndyCar? We know that it's going to be, fairly single groove at times, but, we saw Milwaukee widen out quite a ways. You see now that the rubber in turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, darkening kind of center to bottom. But there's bumps around here. Those walls out of 2 and 4 can catch you off guard. Where's the trouble spots around here for you?
I'd say definitely out of turns 2 and out of turns 4. We typically see a lot of guys, the track comes up and then levels out. When these drivers are at the end of the run, pushing their tires, maybe adjusting a little bit too much on the weight jacker. You can see the car get a little bit more loose, drivers spin out. And just the fact that also the way you ride the corner from the inside, if you take the inside line or the outside line, everyone converges right against that wall on the exit. It's typically when you see a lot of multi-car instances when you convert, that get that convergence on the exit of the turn, so that could also be another big trouble spot, especially when it gets really close in the racing.
Yeah, and having a look here at the air and track temperature. Should have taken a moment to convert this back to Fahrenheit while I was at it. But
78 in the air, 121
you.
on the track.
Thank you. It's hot. You know, you'd think after all this time working at a European racing series, I could do the conversion in my head pretty quickly, but the answer to that is no. I just thought I was being clever having, you know, the rest of the world
you're
units.
clever, but it's just I can't read it.
Yeah,
I'm good for using it for science. Otherwise, I don't really know. Other than that, can't relate it.
Water boils at 100, baby. That's all I know. We're halfway to boiling. I guess that's one way to do it. You just freezing and boiling point. You figure out where you are in the scale between those two things.
Yeah, I guess it's the best way to do it.
Was it 212 in freedom units?
Yes, sounds about right.
So just about a minute and a half left until we turn them loose for 175 laps around here. And again, the field is not enormous tonight, 20 cars even. And I would expect a lot of green flag running like we saw at Milwaukee. That means the race goes by pretty quickly. That opens up your strategy efforts as well. And the strategy component was a pretty big reason that we saw, at least at Iowa, Hamilton Akabueze at Milwaukee able to take home that win through a little bit of strategy. But that strategy involved getting out front early and driving away.
Yeah, we saw Oster, even though he had the faster car, got up there, couldn't really make a move by the end of it. He's kind of stuck in traffic and stuck, really stuck behind Akabueze. Couldn't really do much with it. So I think we're going to see something similar here. We're going to have to try to get out in the front and stay there as long as you can. I feel like passing might be a little bit easier here, not a lot. And I do agree, though, we might see something similar where we get an early caution when everyone's all bunched up together, making some moves. We'll see if anyone's going to be coming through the field. I don't think we'll see as much of calamity as we saw in Milwaukee, because a lot of the faster drivers are at the top. I mean, our top four in the points are starting in the top four, so I think that just kind of shows the cream of the crop rising to the top here in Iowa.
Yeah, it seems like this racetrack with a little bit of extra banking, you know, your setup seems to be contributing a bit more. It also makes the qualifying effort a little easier than Milwaukee, which is very lane and line sensitive. So that was why we saw a couple drivers get tripped up a bit and had to start towards the tail of the field. Warm-up is complete, and we're heading down to the racetrack in just a moment's time for the Black Magic Studios 150 from Iowa in the IndyCar Oval Elite Series. We head into our 6th of 12 rounds, and the upcoming calendar gets me pretty excited. We look next time out, February 23rd, a couple of weeks from now. Is that 1 week from now? How many weeks is that from now? 1 week from now.
Yeah, I think, yep.
Yep, and that is at Road America, one of my favorite places, the National Park of Speed. Then we head to Pocono, which is always a good time in an Indy car. Then Mid-Ohio, again, another great road course. National Super Speedway on March 30th. April 6th, we head to Long Beach and the 10th Annual Indianapolis 500 presented by Catalyst 317. That is April 27th. So right at the tail end of the month of April, we will finish off the final season of the IndyCar Oval Elite Series. The 11th and final run of this season in the 10th Indy 500. Down to the racetrack, and let's run through our qualifying order. Kick things off with the front row, and it's Brandon Treno, 3 wins on the season so far, so he's the one to watch for sure. Christian Hildgaard starts on the outside of the number 31 Finian.
Yeah, solid qualifying effort for both of them. Then also Hamilton Akabueze, last race winner. Next to him, Jacob Oster, going to be rolling off in 4th.
And Tony Schauer in the number 7 rolls off in 5th place. Kevin Burrell in the number 52 starts in 6th.
Moving on back to 7th is going to be Andrew Marquez lined up in 63. Next to him, Joe Branch. He's lined up in 8th in 28.
Row 5, Rashad Craig in the number 21 starts 9th place. Andrew Wood rolls off 10th in the number 64.
Moving on to 11, the Jesper Orman. He's got a little bit of ways to go to try to get to the front to keep that point standings lead. Next to Mark Murphy, landing in 69 in 12th.
And 13th place, Tim Holgate's number 6. Pedro Blebel in the number 3 rolls off 14th.
Moving on back to 15th, David Adams in the 00. Next to him, Craig Forsythe in the 99, rolling off 16th.
17th place, Julian Altana's number 11. And Lorenzo Bonder, 18th in the number 37.
Moving on back to 19th, it's going to be Hugo Galaz in the number 18. And rounding out a field of 20 cars, Paulo Vinicius in the 42.
Well, that will do it for our starting lineup. This is going to be a quick race, just 50 minutes, flag to flag. if we go green from flag to flag. That is yet to be seen, but we did that mostly at Milwaukee with just, I think it was just the one yellow at lap number 3. So, predictions, what do you got?
For race winner?
Anything, any predictions? Ooh. Stock market prices tomorrow, what do you got?
I don't even ask.
End of the world?
I don't want to be boring, but Treno, he's a fast car, starting up on pole. The main thing that was holding him back in Milwaukee, I would say, was his starting position, having to work through the field. So him starting up on pole potentially got some cleaner to work with. I think he's going to be the one who takes it home.
I can't disagree with that. Akabueze, though, starting right in behind him. I think he's got a pretty good shot to repeat the magic that he found up at Milwaukee a couple of weeks ago. Well, Treno and Hildgaard on the front row. Side pod to side pod here at Iowa. We're just off of I-80. It'll be 50 minutes from flag to flag, but it is the Blackmagic Studios 150 from Iowa Speedway, round 6 of 12 in the IndyCar Oval Elite Series. Here we go, green flag, we're underway from Iowa. It's like watching fighter jets in a cereal bowl around here. They are so fast. And Brandon Treno leads the opening lap. A little bit of side-by-side here. Kevin Burrell. And is that Joe Branch in the 28? Sorry, that's Schowen and Branch.
Yeah, side-by-side for them. Tony Schowen trying to go around the outside. Burrell stuck on the inside. And typically we see that outside lane work a little bit better with that run off the corner. Indeed, Schowen will get the spot. Also, Jacob Oster, a fantastic start for him. Moved up from 4th all the way to 2nd place in just the opening lap alone. Immediately trying to catch up and make sure he stays touch with Brandon Treno.
Andrew Wood having a look at Jesper Orman down here into turn 3. Orman goes high, Andrew Wood goes low. We're going to see this back and forth quite a bit tonight, I'm sure, where you go to the bottom, you don't have the momentum to complete the pass. The outside lane is a viable defensive line here, but can it be used for offense? That might take some time to burn in.
Probably is going to take quite a bit of time to burn in, as everyone's really just trying to feel out their cars at this point. You know, start to dial it in, you know, with how the track's feeling, how warm it is on the track. Get the car dialed in and then get ready and set to go. So also trying to figure out if the inside or the outside lane or the middle lane might be a little better.
Some crazy fast laps around here. Just, I can only imagine the G's that they're pulling around this racetrack. Rashad Craig following Blevel in the number 3. That's the 21 is the green and black of Craig. He's got Tim Holgate up behind him for the number 6. He's dropped back one spot.
And up at the lead, Brandon Treno's checked out already 1.2 seconds ahead of Jacob Oster and Hamilton Akabueze. So immediately he's trying to break away from the field, try to set his own pace and control the race for the next 170 laps.
His goal would be to try to lap as many cars as he can, just to trap them if we do get a yellow, to where they don't have the flexibility that they would have if they were on the lead lap, to maybe try an alternate strategy. Here comes Craig on Holgate. Holgate past Craig, rather. And Craig trying to retaliate, and then David Adams moved up a couple of spots at the points last week, started this race in 15th. He has gone nowhere so far.
Maintaining formation in line, not really making a whole lot of progress at the moment. Meanwhile, up ahead, Joe Branch actually just lost a spot at Kevin Burrell, and now might lose another. Marquez working around the outside.
But a side-by-side there, Marquez and Branch. And then Jesper Orman goes to the top of Branch as well. Branch has got the orange wing end plates there on the bottom of the racetrack. He is going backwards quickly.
Yeah, he's getting stuck on the bottom, and it just really kills your momentum out of the corner. So, especially when you have a bunch of cars lined up nose to tail, or wing to wing in this case, it's just really hard to get your momentum back going. So just got freight trained and lost 3 spots now, so recollect and get back going.
Look at the rubber in turns 1 and 2. You can see that light spot right there as the cars traverse that bump. They're getting so much lighter over that they're not leaving rubber there. So that's a pretty intense visualization of how much of a wild ride it is here, even in the simulator.
Yeah, just showing you where the cars have to be a little bit careful. You know, we talked about some trouble spots. That could be one. especially if you're pushing the car a little bit too much. If the car is already on edge in the corner, you get that little bit of a bump, it upsets the car, and around you can go. Let's look at Andrew Marquez stuck in battle between 6th, and really behind them is all for 8th, but just Orman still trying to make up some spots, already moved up 3 from the start, and the Orman looks to the inside.
It's already noting the lap times have fallen off about a half a second. The tire wear tonight, I think, is going to be pretty extreme. A lot of load on these tires, and especially when you're running where Marquez is, there's not a lot of rubber up there. Orman's got 2 of these things in the crosshairs.
You see him trying to find where that fresh air is. He went through the middle, now trying to look to the outside of Burrell. Off in turn 4, way up high, running near the wall. I didn't really see anyone up there, but gets that high line going, that run off the corner, and to clear Burrell by the middle of turn 1. There we go.
Yeah, he thought about jamming it in on the outside of the entry to 3. He wasn't sure if Burrell was going to close the door, so he waited until the exit of 4 to do the same thing. That was patient driving there by Jesper Orman, but the patience might be contributing to his race finishes so far here this season. If we go and look at the story of Orman's season, he has not finished worse than 10th. 2nd, 4th, 10th, 2nd, 4th. That's not a bad way to end up in the point standings lead.
No, definitely isn't. I mean, we always say, you know, to finish first was first finish, so he's not been pushing it too hard, been making sure he gets the car home in one piece, and naturally this is a quick driver, so it's working out well for him as we look at this battle. Pedro Bubble versus Tim Holgate. Bubble on the outside, Holgate on the inside, trying to make it work, and that inside lane can work if you make a dive to the inside of the corner. Actually, just looking at Mark Murphy, Andrew Wood side by side, almost making contact. They're side by side.
There's a couple different battles happening right now. Things have heated up, haven't they?
Really have. Murphy was getting a good run into turn 1, but wasn't quite able to clear Wood, so Wood gets it back on the outside.
We were watching just up the road a little further. Orman and Marquez were side by side as well, so things are heating up now, and I think it's the tire wear contributing to this. As you burn off your tire, if you've done it worse than everybody else, you're going to start sliding backwards. If you conserve some, you'll start moving forwards. Note that it's about 20 laps into the run where we're starting to see this complexity start to play out. Here comes Holgate to the bottom.
Looking there, trying to make a move, can't quite get there. Looks now up high. Try to utilize that run off the corner. Up ahead, Mr. Orman makes a move on Tony Shaw, and he goes up to 5th.
Oh, real tight between Wood and Murphy through turn 1. That was probably a little too close. Have a look at this.
Oh man. Yeah, they've been not afraid to get close with each other, Murphy and Wood, fighting very close.
Marquez and Shawan. A lot of slipping and sliding around. Kevin Burrell looks to the bottom here of Shawan. This is battle for 7th.
It's a great battle been packed between these drivers. Old jockey position, trying to figure out what order they want to go with. And here comes Joe Branch. We saw him lose a couple spots earlier. Now looking on the offensive to the outside, gets 1, might try to get 2, can't quite get to the outside of Shawan, but he moves up to 8th.
Yeah, slotted in the spot that his car would fit and was able to go no further. And then Wood and Murphy are watching them gear up again, and these two have been tightly racing. That makes me nervous, the proximity that they have, but good racing all over the track now that we burned some of the tire up.
I think we might see maybe some of the drivers that maybe burned up a little bit too much, and that's the thing too, is that these drivers can push a little too hard in traffic. Makes your tire worse later on in the run. Gonna feel like a dump truck later on. As Branch goes side by side with Shawan, he's holding up Burrell, and now Andrew Wood and Murphy have caught up. This has been essentially a 5-way battle for 8th.
Yeah, this is great stuff. Shawan on the outside there, carrying momentum out of turn 4. Burrell sitting on the heels of these two, but nothing to do with it, nowhere to go with it.
See him taking the middle line, just trying to make sure he doesn't get an air wash in that push mid-corner, find the cleanest air. But nowhere for him to go. Shawan goes up maybe a little bit too high. This could be a chance for Burrell to come back on the inside.
He did. He had to kind of stunt the momentum, blunt it to do it. Mark Murphy, all this happening right off the nose. Look at the view he's got. This is like something out of an action movie.
He really is. These guys are constantly flying out here, almost not going below 150 miles an hour the entire way around. They're flying around this track. he's got a great view of this entire battle.
Looks like Joe Branch is sort of shuffled and brushed off the flies, fighting over the carcass of 8th place back there. Kevin Burrell now is in command of it. Showen and Wood hot on the heels. Wow, what a great corner for Burrell.
A great move for him as Andrew Wood makes the guy and Mark Murphy both try to get around Tony Showen. Murphy not quite able to clear. Showen still in the fight, will go down low to clear. Meanwhile behind him, Level and Holgate still haven't sorted this battle out.
That was tight out of turn 2 there, almost contacted. Then Murphy and Showen up the road, almost got into the fence out of turn 2. So they are pushing the limits here now for 10th place.
Murphy was sideways out of turn 2 trying to get to the low side of Tony Showen. Trying to make sure he doesn't lose track of Andrew Wood, who he's keeping good pace with.
For 2nd place, for the heat coming from the form of Hamilton Akabueze on Jacob Oster. They've got some lap traffic to contend with. That's going to hold up Oster. Big wiggle out of the 16. And Akabueze is going to smell the blood in the water and goes way up the racetrack in turn 3.
Working on the lap car, Paolo Vinicius, and Oster gets around, slowed him up quite a bit. Can Akabueze make a move? He cannot, but is ever closer to Oster.
Couple of tenths to gain a few times around. About 4 tenths back 3 laps ago. Big run, but he's going to sit on it into turn 1, maybe not the place to make the move. You see that suspension move over that bump in turns 1 and 2. That's a big one, even in a stock car, but I can only imagine how uprooting it must be in an open wheel machine like these.
Well, these cars are on such rails to the corner. I mean, you really get the setup dialed in. Of course, again, these drivers have open setups. As Akabueze makes a move to the inside, he's going to ride that bump. You can see the car visually jump up in the air for a little bit, but can't quite get it going. But as I was saying, you know, these cars are on such rails, you upset just a little part of it, and the car can easily go around. So it takes a lot of finesse, a lot of skill. Speaking of which, here's a big battle for positions. Tony Showen, still the cork in the bottle. Pedro Bevel, Tim Holgate, David Adams, Rayshon Craig, all in this group.
Yeah, Bevel's going to make up a few spots there. Showen down a few. Showen started this race in 5th, so he's really dropped backwards a lot in this run. And he's going to lose a few more spots here to Craig and David Adams and maybe Altima soon.
Yeah, Showen's been fantastic in qualifying. He qualified really well in Milwaukee, qualified 2nd in Milwaukee. Unfortunately, just the race pace doesn't seem to be quite there for the number 7 machine.
It looks like he's just going to tuck in line and kind of click off some laps here, like he knows he's either burned up tire or doesn't have the setup dialed, but no sense in putting yourself in a compromising position at this stage of the race.
Ooh, Oster really slow out of turn 2. Akabueze all over the back of him. Takes advantage of the situation.
Way up high. If he can get that hole, he's going to drop to the bottom now out of 4. I was going to say, if he can just get the overlap, he might have this, and he does.
Yep, I was going to say, you did a great job of just using that advantage. He built up the run in 3 and 4, executed 1 and 2. Now up to 2nd place, and I would argue that at this point in the run, he looked to be a little bit faster and might have a chance to chase down the 9.
Yeah, they lost about a full second to Treno in this exchange. So they've got some work to do, but Akabueze is lapping slightly quicker than Treno.
Have to keep an eye on it, especially as lap traffic becomes more of an issue, because Treno's catching up to that big group that we saw battling. Actually, this group behind Rayshon Craig, Treno's not too far behind.
Yeah, so they're working their way down the back straightaway. Where's Treno in this shot? He already passed us.
He already passed. He's off the back of Craig Forsyth in the blue and white car. There he is.
I was going to say, I didn't even recognize the car because we haven't really looked at it a lot. He just shot out of the cannon on the opening lap, and since then he's been pretty much gone.
So it looks like this group's kind of spread out a little bit, so that's going to help them work through them. It's easier to pick off cars one by one than a group.
Again, this is really his goal, just lap as many as you can, control the race as best you can. It's so much easier to do it in the early stages of the race than later when things start to heat up. People start having more to race for. And we've already kind of set the trajectory, right? I mean, if we were going to see a yellow, we likely would have seen it earlier. I'm not going to say that we're not going to get one, but the trends and trajectories of the IES series have been if you don't get one early at these oval races, you tend not to see them, especially once you have a pit cycle.
Yeah, I feel like at this point we got everyone so spread out as Andrew Wood and Mark Murphy have a battle. Murphy's looking a little bit loose, though.
These two are magnetized to each other tonight, clearly.
We always find that one pair of drivers. I think last week or one of the other weeks it was Julian Alta and David Adams. They were constantly at each other's throat the whole race. Now it seems to be Wood and Murphy. But we look at Burrell make a move on Joe Branch, or I should say vice versa.
I really like the graphics package on this Catalyst 317 car of Joe Branch. The orange, black, and white, just a classy color combination. A little bit of red on there, the Spectacular Memories logo up on the engine cover. Used to see that as a sponsor for some of these races a couple of seasons ago, if I recall.
Yeah, beautiful looking car as always, and running really well. Up one spot for Joe Branch, trying to see if he can catch back up to Andrew Marquez and maybe Jesper Orman, trying to make up more spots.
Yeah, his season has been less than stellar. Only 3 top 10s, and that's just barely. 2 of them were 10th places. A 6th at Texas, though, so he definitely does have some pedigree in him to have some better results. But currently scored in 10th in the point standings. Burrell to the inside here, out of turn 2, side by side. Akabueze, by the way, is reeling in.
Whoa, Trano loose off the back straightaway. He's locking it down and going to hit the wall.
Well, that's huge drama. The race leader crashed on the back straightaway.
Caution too, so he's going to lose spots.
Well, that was not something I had on the bingo card. Is he going to hit pit lane here? How badly is this car hurt?
Looks like he only hit the wing. I don't know if he hit the suspension, but I guess he's hitting down there just to be safe. Trying to see, doesn't have a meatball, so it doesn't have required repairs.
Well, looks like that. He has reset back to the pit box, which is going to cost him a whole lot of time. Let's go back and see what happened. That was out of nowhere. Did he get tangled up?
No, he just got loose. And this is what I was talking about. You know, that flies off that corner, the car gets really light, and when you're on edge, all it takes is one small mistake and the car goes around.
Had it just in that death lock where you're headed towards the wall. There's nothing you can do to get it unstuck. Slam that left rear corner. That's the thing that's going to hurt him. And he's down 3 laps and counting. I don't know that it's even worth getting back in the race.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, I think he was trying to, obviously the thing you want to do, if you can just back in the rear wing, you'll save yourself a lot of damage because the rear wing can be replaced. However, you hit the suspension, your race is going to be next to over.
So this begs.
This is the last thing that he needed. There was another DNF.
Well, that's my point. Is this begs the question? You know, how on edge are these cars for Brandon Trano? Are they too on edge? The speed advantage that they seem to have in setup, is it making the car too edgy? I know there was traffic there, and he had the wheel cranked into it quite a bit. But and the Milwaukee incident was something different. But are there diminishing returns on speed versus drivability? Because again, looking at the standings. Halfway through, it's consistency that is getting you to the top of the board. So that's something to consider as David Adams is heading to pit lane here, lap 56. What do you think?
For a stop, I'm feeling like this is early. I would have thought these guys could have made it on one stop, but could very well be wrong.
Andrew Wood and Mark Murphy. Oh, I think Wood caught the fence there out of 4. It's always tricky with netcode with these cars at these shorter tracks. Let's have another look. No, not quite. Missed it. And now here comes Rashad Craig to the inside.
Have a look there.
Adams is back out of the pit lane. 7.9 second stop. Do you think he can get to the end from there, or is he going to make this a 2-stop? 115 laps? Feels like a lot.
Yeah, it feels like quite a bit, but we'll see. We'll keep an eye on it.
Second place, Christian Hildgaard and Jacob Oster closing in. Now, with Trano out, does that not shift the focus immediately to Hamilton Akabueze? Whoa, big wiggle for Oster. And Hildgaard, I think, is going to head for pit lane, but Oster almost stuck it in the fence. Have a look at this. That's a wake-up.
There's a wake-up, and the thing is that he needs to make sure he can execute. This is going to be a big amount of points on him, on his competitor, I should say, on Brandon Traino. So, just, you know, may not be able to win this race as Hamilton Akabueze is coming on in.
So, as I was saying, I think the focus, I mean, looking at the dominant victory that he had at Milwaukee, he was gifted the lead by virtue of that accident for Traino. Does this make him the favorite? You have to look at Oster too, but this is sort of a very similar scenario. Oster doesn't really seem to have the long run pace that that Akabueze has. Time will tell.
Time will definitely have to tell. I mean, well, you can see maybe there could be a chance someone else finds some issues, because I definitely think lap cars are going to be an issue here.
Jesper Orman crawling up the order as well, and he's going to hit pit lane following Jacob Oster's number 16. A little lock up there onto pit lane. Burrell's going to stay out. He will lead this lap.
It does look like majority of the field is going to be going for 2 stops.
I'd say there's only a couple of drivers that have stayed on the track this long. Even Rashad Craig, I think he's going to stop here maybe next time by. He's the last driver to stay on the road at lap 65. It looks like he's going to head down the pit road this time. And you see
look at all those marbles.
I was going to say, they're actually paving a way through them by picking them up on the tires, but probably a pretty sketchy corner, especially without the banking to lean on down there.
Well, a lot of them have been kind of been playing nice with it. They've not been pushing it too hard, I think, because they know that is an extra danger. So everyone's been respecting it, and I don't think we've seen any issues down there.
So Akabueze is going to retake the lead now as he goes by Rashad Craig into pit lane. About 110 laps to go. 34 minutes left on the estimated clock. Here's a question. Joe Branch. Why is he down the order so far?
Maybe he had an issue.
I have an issue.
Take a look.
Okay. I had a very weird error message I've never gotten before in my life, but everything's fine.
On the computer?
On the ATVO side.
Oh.
Everything's good. A little tight there for Christian Hildegard and Jacob Oster. This is the battle for second that we're watching.
Okay, I don't really have an answer for why Joe Branch is that far down the order. I just had a bad pit stop sequence in general.
But not even. I mean, the stop was fine, and the traverse time on pit lane was normal, so it must have been getting onto or off of that was a challenge for him.
Yeah, we didn't have a penalty or anything. Spin.
See Oster a little quicker than Hildegard in the early stages of a run, but we saw Hildegard beginning to close in on Oster. I was just drawing attention to that when we saw the leader spin. Akabueze a 2.8 second lead, 3 second lead now, and quickly growing, and lapped up to 9th place, and that is a number that is growing very fast. This is just the same thing that we saw in Iowa, the dominance of Akabueze in these long green flag runs. And he just looks so calculated.
He's got a decent cushion to work with as well, with 3 seconds between himself and Oster. So I think as long as he keeps it going the right direction, doesn't push too hard, he should be able to walk away with this easily.
All about
that being said, that means he can't completely rest on his laurels. He doesn't have to still get around lap traffic in a timely fashion.
Yeah, he is losing a little bit of ground to Oster at the moment, traversing this lap traffic. But again, if the long run pace has been anything to go by, I think Oster's neutral steering there, center corner. But we'll see how things pan out in the long run. I want to also draw attention to David Adams. This is a driver that had a very good pit stop sequence. Early stop, about 5 laps sooner than most of the rest of the field, but it did gain him quite a bit. We've seen about a half a second to a full second of fall off, so he gained 8 spots on this pit sequence, but will it last?
Yeah, that's going to be the big question is, you know, obviously he came in early, but might end up paying the price for that later on in the run, but so far so good. And you can argue that track position is maybe more worth it.
I would say that there is a delicate balance of track position versus tire life, but I think Adams might have struck something a little bit towards the extreme end. But he did gain enough ground for me to consider it a short-term success. If you're to get a yellow and get us back on sequence, I'm a big fan of that strategy. But I don't think that that's incredibly likely, especially since Iowa seems to be one of the tracks that is less susceptible to yellows because that big apron that is a no detection zone.
Yeah.
Versus something like New Hampshire that seems like you can stop in the Stop and Shop, downtown, and they'll still
throw yellow.
Yeah, exactly.
I've always found it weird the spectrum of tracks where it's just completely inconsistent. Where some tracks it's like you can spin off, like just a hair off the track and throws caution. Others you can be all the way down, out of the way, and throws it out. So it's wildly inconsistent.
Well, Pocono, where we're headed in a couple of weeks, they solved that problem by just putting walls right at the edge of the track so that there is no apron, and you just contain your mess, even though they have metric miles to not have fences. But what do I know? Ooh, Mark Murphy got Akabueze right up the tailpipes of the Alliance Racing car. He's going to let Akabueze go by, and now the leader is lapped up to 8th place. Oh, he hasn't quite gotten by him yet.
Murphy's putting up a fight just in case that caution comes out. Wants to stay in that lead lap. Although we were talking about it before, the odds of caution coming out, especially after a set of green flag pit stops, severely diminish. But still always that chance.
Yeah, you just seem like after the pit stop, wow, look at Holgate commit to the throttle. He's in the marbles though, and up into the fence out of turn 2. Keeps it straight. A little too much though.
Yep, and well, that was a perfect example of the marbles there on the oval. Before that recent patch with it would have been a perfectly viable move, but got to be careful.
Yeah, it's fascinating to see how effective they are, and visually how much better they look too. That's the thing that struck me the most is just they look so much more realistic. I mean, have a look at that. As we were saying,
and then also just seeing the pickup on the tire.
Yeah, it looked great, but. Not for the driver, but for us. The thing I was going to mention, though, is the reason why we see the yellow propensity drop way down after the green flag stops is now you know what your car does over the entirety of the run. You've had time in traffic. This field gets spread out. There's a lot of reasons why things calm down after that first sequence. But, again, the other thing that can happen is you start getting lap traffic fighting each other. And the interactions between the faster and slower cars. That can draw yellows, but seemingly at a less high rate than the intensity of the early run when everyone's just trying to fight to stay on the lead lap.
And speaking of which, Eamon still hasn't gotten around Murphy, and now he's starting to catch up to Wood.
Yeah, and
he's only going to hold him up even more, and Oster's closing in.
Yeah, he is. He's gained about a second and a half. Akabueze's not going to sit back here forever, but there's absolutely no reason that Mark Murphy should pull over and let Akabueze by. They're catching cars ahead. These are cars in the top 10. Why would you let the leader by? So it's just a frustrating scenario. Also note that Mark Murphy has a lap fresher tires than Akabueze does, so it's not like you're just going to blow by him anyway.
Not at all, and then it's also going to make it harder because Andrew Wood is running a different line, and he's effectively taking the clean air that Akabueze would have had, so it's making it even harder.
Yeah, this is opportunity for Oster. He needs to take this. Once you get these guys one lap down, they're not going to fight you so hard the next time by. So if Oster can catch Akabueze now, that's the best opportunity, probably for the rest of the race that he has to get it done. But he's not making as much progress as I think he should be at this stage.
No, he's not. He's been trying to make dives here and there to the inside because Murphy's been wanting to keep that outside going, so that's the best defensive line.
Gosh, oh, it's so tight. He's really trying to intimidate. It's like turning the police lights on. Pull over.
Yeah, we're starting to see him get a little bit more aggressive on the move as well and get a little bit closer.
But Oster has
frustration showing.
Oster has not been able to make up any more ground, which is surprising to me. Just to show you that I don't think Murphy's running bad pace at all. He's actually running the same lap time as the leader. Which makes sense.
These guys aren't slow.
Yeah.
This is the top 10.
This is my point, though, is Oster has an opportunity to run down Akabueze while they're trapped, but he's not making the progress that he needs to to make up all that ground. And as soon as Akabueze passes Murphy, then Oster will have to do the same, and it's not going to be any easier for him.
Just going to wonder if Akabueze is going to try to change this up, because clearly that inside lane is just not working for him. But I don't know how else he's going to get Murphy off that top line.
Well, we're in the pit. Oh, not quite. Not quite in the window. Let's say, once you get in the pit window, you can just get out of the situation by hitting pit road. But
I got to wait till around lap 120, I want to say.
Whatever 65 to go is, roughly, is when they saw 65 laps in. Yeah. It's a long time to wait. But again, Oster isn't really making any ground, so I don't think that, Akabueze is frustrated, but I don't think he's looking at the relative, and that won't be the frustrating part. He's looking out the cockpit right now, not in the mirrors. Trying to figure out how the apron got him.
I don't know, maybe, because you usually would expect it to be more to the high side,
yeah.
Right? But, I don't know.
Are they rolling down the hill, you think?
I guess, I don't know who.
One driver out. It's pole sitter Brandon Treno, who spun and crashed out of the race lead. The Black Magic Studios 150. We'll battle here, Tony Schau and Craig Forsyth. This is for 15th place. Washed up out of turn 2. And then Rashad Craig and Joe Branch. 10th place, a little bit behind on the racetrack, but ahead on the timeline.
Well, Craig's looking a little bit racy at this point in time, and going to look to the outside. And we'll get the spot on Branch.
It's Hildegard behind them, 3rd place on the racetrack. Oster has broken through the 1 second bracket up to Akabueze, who is still working over the 69 of Mark Murphy.
He's been a thorn on his side.
Boy.
This run, wow.
That was almost a crash. He's taking bigger risks now, and I think he's really trying to intimidate Murphy with the side pod now instead of the nose cone. Needs to get it done.
He's so close, and I think that's probably even more frustrating for him. He's so close to clearing him, but that outside line is that much better.
Turn 4, it seems like the outside line's even more powerful, so he will get back to single file. Oster's progress is stalled though again, so the inroads have been here and there, but not consistently enough to really apply a lot of pressure to the rear of that leading number 10 car.
From going low below the lap car of Craig Forsyth. There's actually really a big group of cars starting to build up ahead of Murphy. It's Murphy, Wood, David Adams, Tony Schau, and Andrew Marquez, and Paolo Vinicius in this next big group. It's about 6 cars all ahead of the leader.
And Hildegard has actually made up a bunch of ground on Oster and Akabueze because he's not impeded by traffic right now. Oster now has Forsyth to work over, but he's going to drop to the inside to take that spot.
And Akabueze finally got past Murphy.
Is Murphy going to fight back? He will not. He's done his duty.
A great run on the inside of the corner, and looks like Vinicius a little bit slow off the pace, and they will go.
It's going to get busy here for Akabueze for a few laps.
It is. Maybe it hasn't been already, because you could argue it's been busy for him for quite a while trying to work around Murphy. That's what, 10, 15 laps?
I thought it was more than that.
Probably more than that.
Oh boy, that's Andrew Wood. He's dropping underneath now. He'll have to do the same thing all over again.
Same as the first.
Yeah. Yep. Story, different book. And Oster underneath the 42 of Vinicius still has to get by the 69 as well. The risk is if you hit at the opening of that window in about 10 laps, what if you just end up in more of the same?
I mean, it's a risk you got to be willing to take, I guess, at this point, right? Because He's facing so many lap cars and they're taking away every line that he can try to work with.
I think 35 seconds is the pit lane delta start to finish. That's about 2 laps worth, so you're basically just going to end up coming right back out where you were. Plus or minus 5 seconds, which is going to end up dropping you either into worse traffic or slightly slower traffic that you'll just have to pass all over again. So I don't even know that pitting will get you out of those spins.
He's actually working through it pretty well, though. He got around Wood, now he's getting around Belize. Now has Adams and Chow to work with, so I think that might have been through the worst of it. Now Oster's got to go through it.
Yeah, and he's got Wood and Murphy that are going to be battling for a spot out of turn 4. They're 3 wide for a moment. And Oster made up some ground, but he might give it all back here behind this battle.
Oster wishing he had headlights to flash at them.
You see that big counter steer moment out of turn 2 as well. Akabueze's making a run for it. One more car to go before he's got clear air. David Adams. Yep.
Yeah, he came down a pit lane, so that was one less car for Akabueze to get around, and now he's officially clear of this group.
The story of the day is going to be lap traffic and managing it, because Oster made up so much time, and now he's going to give it all back in just 3 laps.
Now Oster is getting a great run to the outside, gets around Wood.
Damage done, though. Look at the delta.
Yeah, expand it out a little bit more. Overall, though, he's still closed in on these lap cars onto Akabueze, but I'm just kind of wondering what else Oster's got to do to catch back up.
He was down to just 7/10, though, so this is going to feel frustrating to see that gap double. And he still hasn't dealt with the 69 of Mark Murphy, who was the biggest thorn in the side for Akabueze.
Up and there's David Adams coming back out, effectively where he was, so proved your theory of essentially you coming out just exactly where you were.
Just math. Not very good at it, but, blind squirrel, nut, once in a while, that sort of thing.
I would laugh more, but
Oster. Oh boy, there's so many marbles down there.
Yeah, look at how covered the tires are.
I want to see this when it comes to a stop. Oh, they're probably going to be off by the time you...
Yeah, it's like flaking off. But if you look at it from behind, you can see them flaking off a little bit. I think actually they're gone now.
Yeah, too late now. But he'll hit pit lane, get out of the traffic. That was probably a smart move. And we hit now 60 laps to go. Does Akabueze respond to this?
I don't even know if he really needs to. Right?
From a traffic perspective, he's in a better spot. I would worry a little bit about the time, because again, we're about a half second slow. So if he stays out 3 laps longer, he will lose the lead for the short term. And we've seen how important
Jacob Oster coming out. Come out actually right in behind David Adams.
Who else? Andrew Wood. On the lane. There you see the marbles flying. Dragging them onto pit road. What I really like is that the popcorn effects system that runs those works in slow motion. So you can watch them in slow-mo.
Oh, yeah.
We had a lot of fun with that on the Lizard Brains race at Sebring a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, Oster in the marbles. Oh, boy. Almost hit the wall.
Yeah, that might have given him some time. Clock ticking down here, about 17 minutes from the checker.
He's pushing.
And he's catching Akabueze too, so if he can distract him. I mean, we're seeing the difference in pace in real time here, the half a second a lap or so.
Marquez, the car ahead of them, announcing that he's coming to pit road. Here comes Oster. Great run off the corner, going to make a move on him. Of course, this is Oster being 2 laps down, but this could be for the lead.
Yeah.
As Akabueze stayed out a little bit too long.
I think he has. He's going to lose the lead. The question and the gamble that he's going to play now is that he's going to have enough better tire to overtake Oster. I don't know if I like that gamble. I would have followed, because there was really no one else that was going to be a factor. Hildegard maybe, but he wasn't really.
Akabueze down.
Hildegard hasn't really been as fast as the other two, so I don't know that I would have stayed out this long. I do think he's going to lose the lead here.
Let's see if this gamble is worth paying off or not.
Oster's pit traversal was 34.4. That was also pretty quick. I think he's going to have the lead and probably a few seconds on top of that. That's my bold prediction here. Well, spilled the pepper on pit lane. Look at that. All right, so here comes Akabueze. Where is Oster? Turn 1, high speed. We drive by the pink.
Oh, I think he's going to just get by him, but Akabueze is going to have some slightly fresher tires.
And he does. Oster gets by.
Good. Not quite. I barely get by.
Thought it would be more than that.
Well, fight. Fight on.
I know. Put the gloves on here. 50 laps to go next time by. Akabueze, that was squeezing tight out of turn 2.
Oster playing with inches there, just clearing Paulo Vinicius. And here comes Akabueze, big run off turn 4, down the front straightaway.
Takes the lead away.
Whoa, hits the apron.
Can he commit to it though? Side by side for the lead.
He got hurt in 2 ways. He hit the apron and he had the lap car Barella right in front of him on the inside lane. Here we go, another run off the corner.
Oh, this is a great battle between these two. New tires versus older tires, strategy versus strategy, and Bueze is going to get the lead away and hopefully drive off into the sunset for the Akabueze fans. And Oster's gamble, I thought that he was going to have that in the bag, at least to have more of a lead, but despite the quick pit stop and the quick pit traversal, it wasn't enough.
Yeah, Akabueze scared me. He hit the apron and the car went sideways for a little bit. Thought it might have been done for on colder tires, but was able to save it. And now, for the most part, looking like it could be clean sailing for Akabueze. If you can just keep that car in clean air and out of trouble.
And laps are going to click down very, very, very fast in the next few minutes. Pit stops are done. Andrew Marquez and Mark Murphy. This is a battle for 8th place. 4th place, Christian Hildgaard, right behind Rashad Craig, is finally on pit lane. So that will turn the lead back over to Akabueze. And what a race this has been. Brandon Traino again took the lead early after getting on the pole, crashed out after leading 49 laps, and has since just been on the sidelines for the 2nd race in a row.
The 2nd race in a row is going to finish dead last. And, you know, these guys are given 1 drop week, so that wasn't that bad for him. But now, having 2 races, he's obviously not going to have to lose out of 1 race. That's really, really going to hurt him with points. He needs to make sure he can stop the bleeding heading into next week. Of course, we are heading to a road course. I think it should be a little bit easier to deal with that.
Yeah, especially with Akabueze hitting his stride right now, though. That's going to be even a bigger deal for Traino. And then Oster, we thought, would be the favorite in the absence of Traino up front. But Akabueze has really stepped into this at Milwaukee and here with just great long-run pace. And it looks like he is setting himself up for a 2nd win on the season. It was his 1st win on an oval in this series last time out of Milwaukee. 1st win ever, actually, right?
I believe on an oval.
Thanks,
I remember that from the AI supplement. That it creepily caught that we mentioned.
Yeah, that was interesting. So just for reference, Finian found out that there was and it was only on certain videos, but there's a new AI tool that summarizes points of the video. You can ask it, you know, about certain things that happened, and it'll basically tell you everything that happened in the race. What happened on lap 56? It'll tell you. And
you can even ask about different driver strategies, and like look for what we're talking about, different driver strategies, which is creepy as hell.
I'm not necessarily thinking that the AI overlords are going to take us over, but I was a little bit disgruntled by that. I'll be honest.
I was just genuinely impressed at how well it picked up what we were talking about.
Well,
you know, other than it messing up the drivers' names because we're just pulling from how we pronounced it, it went about it pretty well.
I was just impressed.
It might even summarize this part. But.
Don't become sentient, please.
I'm actually taking a look at the points, and so Akabueze is actually 48 points out from the lead. So even with this 2nd win, he's probably not going to take the lead. Traino's going to drop out of it. Orman's going to drop out. I think Oster will be running out of here with the lead. he finished second place.
A little bit of battle shaping up here for 6. Mark Murphy, Adams, Marquez, Wood, Rashad Craig, and more. One more point on the AI piece. My big concern in the short term here is, if you watch this battle for 7, is AI is going to start feeding itself with AI because it doesn't know that those prompts were AI, and it's not always correct. So it's just going to start feeding itself wrong information, and then it's going to get really bad for us. Here comes Marquez to the bottom. Battle here for P7. Trying to get to the side pod of Adams to move up the position.
You also got to be careful though in the mirror because Andrew Wood, Rachel Craig are also closing up on this battle for 7. So they get heated potentially in the next couple of laps. But Marquez looking a little bit high and Adams stuck in the middle and nowhere for him to go. We'll have to let Marquez on by.
He's got a power move up there on the outside, carrying some great speed. Made that almost look easy. And then you mentioned Wood and Rashad Craig. For Andrew Wood, this has been a bit of a frustrating race. Started 10th, and he really hasn't gone anywhere after 141 laps. Ooh, that was
trying to keep Rachel Craig at bay. Almost got turned by him a little bit there. Got very close quarters.
Craig's going to have a great run on the back straightaway. He's going to do anything with it or sit on it. He'll do the latter. Drive up the outside, and he'll have this spot. It almost looked coordinated. It was so easy. So, checking back in on the race leaders, the gap 1.7 seconds. And Akabweze is going to be growing this gap. 7, 8 laps different tire life. I don't really see any reason why Oster would be able to eat into this massively unless Akabweze gets caught in some traffic, which he does have some off the nose. And it is Kevin Burrell, who is a very fast lead lap car.
Yeah, Burrell's actually been doing really well this race. Let's kind of check in how he's finishing other races. If I'm not mistaken, this might be the best performance he's had all season.
P5 at the moment. He's had 3/5, so he's kind of right where he should be.
Never mind.
Kind of par for the course, actually.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's 5th in the standings as well, so it's just been fives across the board.
Oh, he's got the 2 in the number to throw off the. If it was a number 5 car, I'd say that there's some collusion happening here. There's that pink car in the background. Not sure that Akabweze will have to stress too much though, because there's only about 8 minutes of racing left. There's quite a few laps, over 25 to go, but they go by so quick that even if he does get held up, I don't think it's going to be enough time for Oster to get there unless there's an accident.
Yeah, I mean, we even saw in the last where Oster just wasn't able to overcome, I guess, really the aero bubble, if you will, the dirty air. Because we saw he had a gap of somewhat clean air, but just wasn't able to overcome that gap and was stuck in behind, couldn't capitalize. Might see something similar here later on this run, where he just can't quite move on it. So Akabweze has some time to work with and doesn't need to force the issue. He just want to collect some decent points, get himself back in this championship fight.
Next time by will be 25 laps to go from the Blackmagic Studios 150. And the only fight that's really hot on the racetrack right now, David Adams and Rashad Craig. Craig has been moving up the order, started 9th. Back to where he started. He's got one more on the horizon. I think he's got pace to catch.
Craig trying to work on the back of David Adams. Saw Adams not fight particularly hard with Incher Marquez. Curious if Adams is going to put up more of a fight with Craig.
Double zero has moved up. Remember that pit stop strategy he played earlier? It has paid off in a big way. He was stuck back outside the top 10, 12, 13, 14, that area. Basically rocking himself into 7th and hasn't really lost spots since then, just 1. He might lose another one to Rashad Craig, but I'd still say that strategy on that first pit stop really worked out.
There goes Craig to the outside and seal the deal.
Because he might lose one more spot to Andrew Wood, but he won't lose another one. So it'll still be a top 10
gap.
Yeah. only car out, sorry for the name, is Brandon Trano. Hugo Galaz 11 laps down with some damage from earlier, but other than that, we haven't had any major dramas.
Yeah, really unfortunate for Trano out early on.
Major drama. Just sounded like a V8 supercar announcer.
But the rest of the leaders taking advantage of the situation. Akwaze, Oster, Orman, the rest of the drivers in that championship hunt going to capitalize and get a home of good points all.
Wise, we haven't seen any major drama. Look out. Sorry. What happens when it cooks your brain? I don't have to go to work tomorrow. It's good thing.
I'm glad I have tomorrow off, although I'm going to be still recovering from a sickness.
Well, I was sick for basically 2 full weeks in January, but separated by a week in between. Stomach bug first, then flu second. Here comes big lunge underneath Andrew Wood. That's not a pass for position. But it's going to get tight out of 2, and Andrew Wood goes for a slide.
Almost spun it out.
I just see marbles in the, you see that? In the foreground of the shot, they're flying through the air, like past the camera.
Yeah.
That is wild. Turn that down maybe the slightest bit.
The apron is completely littered with.
I still have to figure out, that doesn't seem like that makes any sense. The outside lane looks great, but
the apron is just with peppers.
Yeah, I don't know how that would happen.
That also seems extremely excessive for this.
Well, then they're going to adjust it, and then for 3.5 years, there won't be any marbles again. So, like the first time.
Or the damage model.
Oh boy, it was so much better. The first 2 seasons of the damage model were the best we ever had. The thing that ruined it for me was when they turned off the collisions with parts.
Yeah.
What a shame.
They'll come back one day, maybe. In like 5 years.
Under 15 laps to go. Hamilton Akabue's a comfortable 2.4-second advantage. Andrew Marquez has Rashad Craig up the tailpipes here. This green and black car making some good progress in the late stages. Got fresher tires than everybody else.
I think that seems to be the recipe, it seems, as we catch some marbles. But going in for that later pit stop, I mean, we were concerned with Akabueze pulling it off, but it's worked out well for him. And some of the other drivers that came in late have also been capitalizing on the situation. And Craig, he got about 10-lap fresher tires than Marquez, so he has an advantage.
Oh, you see Marquez struggle on it too. Look at, I mean, just the grip and commitment that Craig has into 3 is so much more than anybody else. He's going to have this run on the front stretch. He's going to sit on it and wait, though. I think this turn 3 maneuver has been working for him. He might even try it at 1, and he does.
Wow. He's got so much grip to work with, and you can hang it out there. Expect the car to commit.
15-lap difference in tire life.
Might not be done yet. He's got Murphy less than a second up ahead. 10 laps, he might have it.
He's really played this strategy well, hasn't he? 3 seconds from Oster up to Akabueze. 10 laps to go in the Black Magic Studios 150. Things are looking up for the driver of the pink and black number 10.
David Adams down pit lane.
That is unexpected.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he came maybe a little too earlier than he needed to.
54 laps on this tank, so it's possible that he would have run himself out.
Yeah, if he had 54, he should have been able to save at least. There are fuel maps you can use to save fuel.
Whatever the reason, into the box with 8 laps to go. And tires going on too, interestingly. Maybe he knows something we don't. I doubt it, but
I don't know.
And what a dominant performance again by Akabueze. If this is a sign of things to come, everyone else has got big trouble.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, he's really capitalizing at these short ovals. The only other real short oval we'll have for the rest of the season, really Nashville, which I wouldn't really consider a typical short oval.
No, but I don't know that he has to do, I mean, I guess his other good finish was at the IMS road course, though, so if he can get, that was a second.
And he did also do well at Homestead Miami. He was leading up until he had a black flag for speeding. So the ovals could be looking pretty well for him as far as a chance to get ahead in the points.
Well, and a second win is going to vault him forward, and a road course coming, which he's had good success on in the only road course that we've had so far. So I would consider him a major championship contender if he can stop having races like Homestead or Texas where he finished outside the top 20.
Yeah, and that's really what threw him way outside the point standings. Oh, sorry, I should say the championship fight. These last 2 wins will definitely reel him back in. It really just matters seeing where he can go from there.
Tony Schauer and Forsythe, this is battle for 13th place. That isn't quite off the table yet. Mark Murphy, Rashad Craig, 2.5 tenths. I think Rashad Craig is going to have a shot to do this, if that.
He's gonna have a singular shot to go for it, and hope that it works. Running out of time, and I'm sure he's trying to get up there as quickly as he can because he knows he can. Ooh, great turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, I think Murphy was in the marbles. It's not as big of a difference. It's only about 14 laps entire life here. 2 laps to go. And Craig's going to back out. He knows his opportunity is up on the high lane here. He's going to commit big in 1 and 2. Turn down the racetrack.
Now lost all the time doing that.
And he's going to
David Adams.
Well, he's on fresh tires, so he's going to let the 00 go and try to maybe cross up the 69. Last lap here.
Lights like in the air. I think David Adams might have messed it up for him.
Might have. Checkered flag. Hamilton Akabueze wins the Blackmagic Studios 150. And Murphy and Rashad Craig, it's going to be a run to the checkers. Here they come side by side out of turn 4. Craig is going to just get him at the line. Craig, I think, got him by 38 thousandths of a second, and they're crashing. Oh. Big wreck. Just like the ARCA race yesterday at Daytona.
I was going to say, just like Astronet was had.
Oof. Wow, what a mess there, huh? We'll take a look at that. This was just getting caught up behind the lap car, took the air off the nose, and what a great battle to the line. Craig steals 6th. And then they get down to 1, and then the lap car goes for a ride and just, wow, tags the 69 of Mark Murphy. I think it was actually off the nose of Craig.
Yeah, I think Venetian slowed up more than Craig was expecting, and
oh man,
look
look
a couple
at
of
the
them.
hit.
Oof.
That Christian Hildgaard that got the rest of that, or is that Adams?
I think that's Adams.
Wow. He just stopped. That car took a huge hit. Right on board with Adams here. Oh, that was ugly. Regardless, let's have a look at your race results because that was an interesting race. Some things played out, but Hamilton Akabueze wins his 2nd oval race in as many tries as of late. Oster 2nd, as he was at Milwaukee. Christian Hildgaard grabs 3rd. Orman 4th, another great top 5 result for him. And Kevin Burrell, first driver 1 lap down in 5th place. How about that?
Yeah, I was going to say, consistently finishing in 5th place. It'll be his 3rd 5th place finish of the season for him. Then Rashad Craig, a solid run for him right there at the line, just getting 6th place over Mark Murphy, who will finish in 7th. Andrew Marquez back in 8th, Wood in 9th, and then Joe Branch rounding out your top 10.
Yeah, looking down the rest of the order here, P11, Pedro Blebel moved up the order a little ways. Julian Alton also kind of quietly moved up some positions. Craig Forsythe, Tony Schauer, David Adams, we saw that big crash post-checker flag down through the rest of the top 15. Tim Holgate, Paul Vinicius, Hugo Galaz, Brandon Treno is going to finish, we have him scored P19. And for Treno, another week where he's just gotten himself into trouble, and it's going to cost him big in the points, Finian.
Yeah, it is going to cost him huge. We'll have to see what the points it's going to be for him because it obviously, again, that drop week is going to slightly lessen the blow, but 2 bad weeks, one after the other, that's really going to hurt him long term.
Well, Christian Hildgaard comes home in 3rd place after starting in 2nd. Christian, a little bit of strategy at play for the front 2, but it just wasn't enough to be up in 2nd or 1st tonight. But a podium, a top 5, good points day. Take us through your night here at Iowa.
Yeah, I mean, I was never really expecting to be fighting with Hamilton or Jacob. I'm not that experienced on the ovals. Obviously, got a very good setup from Hamilton. He absolutely killed it. But qualifying in 2nd, I was kind of shocked to even be there, to be honest. So I even told Hamilton before the race started, I'm just going to let you through here. You can go chase after Treno, and I'll run my own race. And well, maybe I should have been a bit more aggressive off the start, because it turns out my pace was actually pretty close to Jacob. Can really only be very happy with that, and I'm very happy to get a podium on debut here.
Yeah, very, very strong run tonight. I see the 8.6 logo on the side pod there. Are you a twin owner?
Oh, no, I'm not.
Okay. I see the, maybe it's not what I think it is back there, but it certainly looks like the GT86, GR86 logo. Anyway, Christian Hilgard.
I wish it was.
third place tonight in the number 31. Congratulations on a P3. We'll see you next time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Jacob Oster, second place tonight, and sort of same song, different dance. On a different night, Milwaukee to Iowa, and again, it's the pink number 10 that gets you. Strategy almost had you leading the race there. It did for a few laps, just unable to hang on there with those older tires. What could you have done different tonight?
I really think it all kind of boiled down to a lap car altercation on the first stint. I got kind of stuck behind Hugo for about another 1 or 2 more laps than I should have, and I had kind of held a solid gap to Hamilton, but he got around me after that, and that's kind of all she wrote. I closed up to my traffic, but just couldn't get there.
Yeah, looking forward on the rest of the calendar here. We head to a road course next week at Road America, where the lap traffic probably won't be as much of a concern. You looking forward to going left and right again next week?
Yeah, I am definitely looking forward to doing that again. I know the Pro Series kind of really helps me get a whole lot better in road courses, and Road America is a place where I feel really, really confident on the package we have. So I feel like I can fight for a win there and try to extend this points lead that I think I've got tonight.
Yeah, I just checked to see if the standings had been updated. Not quite yet, but we'll find out soon. Jacob Oster, second place in the number 16. Jacob, thanks for talking. Congrats on a P2 and another top 5.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And Hamilton Akabueze, last time out, we were talking about your first win on an oval. This time we're talking about it as your second win in an oval in as many weeks. Led a bunch of laps tonight. Of 175, you led 114 by virtue of Brandon Treno's self-spin. Again, dominant performance. Take us through that battle and then the little altercation you had with Oster there after he came out and beat you on the strategy for a few laps.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like our setup was pretty good. Like the first stint was able to, I think, save a bit more tire than Jacob, and then got lucky. Like he kind of got held up by lap car a little bit, and so yeah, and then I was able to get by him, run away a bit with better tires, which was really nice. So yeah, just glad the sub was good. Got helped by trainer spinning. I don't really think I would have been able to pass him, even if our tire wear was better. It's always really hard to pass the leader when they have like clean air and you don't. So that's always really difficult. And he's just very fast. So yeah, I mean, car was working well the whole time. I knew I could get right back by Jacob if I stayed out longer, because fresher tires here mean so much. So yeah, it was right. Worked out. Good timing.
And we head to another road course next week. The only road course that we've had so far was at IMS, where you finished second. So do you think you can carry this momentum from Milwaukee and Iowa back up to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin next week out?
Yeah, I mean, I think Road America will be pretty good for us. I have to see what my pace is like. I know Christian's running, and he is very, very fast on road courses. So, yeah, it'll be all about trying to get close to him, really. But yeah.
Well, we're excited to see it and head back to the road course next week. Thanks so much for talking to us. Congratulations on another victory here in the IndyCar Oval Elite Series. Wish you the best. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
All right, Finney, and with that, we wrap up things from Iowa. Great race tonight, but the lap traffic was a consideration. That won't be the story when we head to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin next week, the 4.048 miles of the National Park of Speed in Elkhart Lake. Finney, tonight was fun, but next week we go back to alternate tires, we go back to push to pass, and we go back to road racing. Your thoughts?
Yeah, can't wait to see these guys get back on a road course. It feels like it's been quite a while since they've been back on a road course, but some fantastic racing all around at Iowa, some decent running in the midfield. Of course, again, another big shakeup with Treno, another DNF for him. Going to make the points just that much closer for everyone heading into the next couple of weeks as we officially get to the halfway point of this season.
And the other side of that, we got some more road races coming your way. But next time up, Speedville, Road America, the National Park of Speed, Hamilton Akabueze coming fresh off of 2 victories in a row. We'll see you there next week in the IndyCar Oval Elite Series. Thanks so much for watching the Black Magic Studios 150. We'll see you next time.